Hello everyone, this is my run on the Boss Rush number 3 in the CDF Final Fantasy Opera Omnia global version of the game. And before going into the actual battles, I just want to do a quick overview on the party setup that I used. First of all, quick disclaimer that this run was done before the game developers patched in the fix to the Super Synergy. So the run that I had actually did not have Super Synergy boost across all 3 parties. And I also did not use any burst mode because I lacked the burst weapons for Firion, Paladin, Celes, and Squall. So if you have similar units and you want to replicate this run with the Super Synergy boost in place, and if you have any of the burst weapons, it would make the run significantly easier. But nevertheless, with this party setup, it should be able to smoothly handle the mechanics in the run. The goal when I used these 3 parties coming into the fight was to take the first party all the way down to 49% on wave 2, and then party number 2 will go from middle of wave 2 all the way to the start of wave 4, and then the last and third party is solely dedicated to defeating the bosses on wave 4, hence the setup as such. Some of the units are replaceable depending on which other units you have. So for example, you can use Ares on party 2 in place of either Paladin Celes or Serah, and on party 3, if you did not pull for Wakka's LD, you can use Celes in place of Wakka as well. The key debuff for party 3 is actually the Freeze Joker debuff, which both Wakka and Celes will have. Party 1 is pretty straightforward. You can use other party members with counter or off-turn damage. Essentially, the main idea behind party 1 is to tank with Gladio and maximize as many off-turn damage as possible with the rest of the party members, hence the choice of Trey and Firion as bannermates. In terms of call abilities, most of it is pretty straightforward. There's only 3 calls that I want to quickly point out. First of all, I set Hope LD call on party 1, mainly to extend Gladio's blink buff, and I set Selphie on Firion because Firion can actually abuse Selphie's aura, and it allows Firion to use his EX every alternate turn. With party 3, the only thing I wanted to point out is I set a root call on Wakka, and the main idea behind that is to trigger the blessing from the Diabolos summon, allowing my entire party to hit for 50% additional weakness damage, because wave 4 is weak to ice elemental attacks, and Celes will enchant the entire party with ice. So that's it for the setup. Let's head on into the battle. I'll see you there. Alright, so party 1's playstyle is very straightforward. It's really all about setting the traps with Firion and Trey at the start of the battle or as soon as you can, and then Gladio goes Tempest right into his LD, and thereafter I try to upkeep LD as much as possible. Gladio will protect the entire party from damage, and although the Crust Beetles do have AoE damage, you'll easily be able to heal up with the AoE heals from Firion, as well as the HP regen passive from Gladio. The idea here is really to just maximize off-turn damage as much as possible, so that you can complete wave 1 with as few character turns used as possible. Okay, for wave 2, the bare minimum is to reach 49% HP threshold with this party. If you are having the super synergy bonus, you can actually go much further, including potentially completing wave 2 as well with this party. And if you want to go that far, I would recommend to save on Trey and Firion's LD right at the start, because the boss will cleanse all debuffs at 79%. So if you have many turns remaining on the clock and you want to try to take things a little bit further with this party, you can wait until the cleanse debuffs at 79% before applying the traps with Firion and Trey. And that will allow you to go past the 49% HP threshold as well. The dangerous thing though is that they do battery themselves to 99,999 brave at the 79 and 49% HP threshold. So if you want to go beyond 49%, what I would recommend is to hang on to Trey's EX and use it after they've cleansed their debuffs, so that you can allow yourself the chance to instant break with any brave attack after he has applied his EX skill. What you can also do if you have Firion's burst is to use Firion's burst at 79% to help you shave their 99,000 brave, and then save your summon for the 49% HP threshold. However, because I do not have Firion's burst weapon, I just opted to go all out from the start, and I popped my summon at the 79% HP threshold, and I actually leave and go to party 2 the moment the bosses hit 49% HP threshold. One interesting mechanic of Boss Rush is when you bring in a new party, the boss's bravery level, buff and debuffs will actually reset to baseline. So which means that if the bosses battery themselves to 99,000 brave at 49% and you bring in the next party, their brave will actually reset back to their initial brave amount. So that is one easy way to get around the battery at 49% if you are somehow struggling with the battery component of the Guard Scorpions. Okay, so I've hit the 49% HP threshold. I still have quite a lot of turns here, and if you have super synergy bonus, you'll likely have more. But that's okay, as long as you reach this point at the minimum, you can actually switch to the next party. For party 2, I have Paladin, Celes, Serah, and Aranea. And the idea is just to stack HP damage up boosts with both Paladin, Celes, and Serah, while Aranea does as much damage as she can and also helps to push back the bosses with her S1 skill. Okay, so I'm at wave 3 now, and one thing to note is that wave 3 is susceptible to launches, which is why I set Cloud and Ramza calls on my second party. I can then use them over here to delay the bosses and deal some nice damage with my call abilities. The only drawback with my setup for Party 2 is that Serah, Paladin, Celes, and Aranea are not synergy units here. So you can actually just swap out Serah for Charlotta if you have her. The main idea of that slot in the party is to boost the party's damage anyway. So both Charlotta or Serah would work. And I guess Charlotta, if you're playing with super synergy, will then boost the stats of your entire party as well. That being said, you know, it's really flexible here. The idea of me uploading this video is to also show that you can make it through without super synergy boost and with no synergy at all on party 2. Okay, so at this point, the turn count on party 2 is running low. I'm just down to the last 15 or so turns. So the idea coming to this point is to try to delay them a little bit and then try to finish off my turn counts with the most damaging skills that I have before the bosses get their next turn. And just nice, so managed to complete wave 3 with this party, which is just nice because you don't want to bring this party to wave 4 because it inflicts 4 debuffs and will actually cause you to wipe with the mechanics on wave 4. Alright, so party 3, and I've tested a few different party compositions here, and like I said, it's probably going to be significantly easier if you have super synergy in place. My opinion by far and most is to bring either Wakka or Celes as super synergy, because the freeze joker debuff that they each have can make a big difference. The biggest danger in this fight is the bosses have an overhead that they grant themselves, that will grant themselves significant battery as well as boost in stats and brave reduction as well. So if you have freeze joker debuff in place, you can actually prevent them from batterying themselves and making it extremely easy for you to break them out of their overhead buff. So for this purpose, I chose Wakka because he also provides an attack boost to the party. If you actually combine Wakka with Celes though, you have to be very careful with the debuffs. And I did not use any of Wakka's Dark Attack because Dark Attack inflicts blind, which would be the 4th debuff with this party here. If you use Celes instead of Wakka, you don't have to worry about this because Celes only has 1 debuff, which is Freeze Joker. For the rest of the party, there's also a few different options. I use Celes mainly as a tank and to enchant the party with ice. If you don't have Celes, you can use Onion Knight, which also enchants the party with ice and will allow the party to hit for weakness damage the entire fight. And for the third party member, my recommendation is to bring your strongest DPS unit that you have that does not rely on debuffs. So Squall is a very good option here because he does not do any debuffs and he is really now top tier in terms of AoE damage. If you bring Squall or any other melee DPS though, do keep in mind that the boss has great resistance to melee, which means that you do need Ice Enchant to bypass their melee resistance. Okay, so this is the overhead I was talking about. You'll see a prompt telling you that the boss is covered in sharp spines, and you see an overhead with a number there. When they first grant themselves the overhead, they have 3 stacks of the overhead, and it gives them significant brave reduction as well. If you have Freeze Joker up, it prevents themselves from battering themselves, and you can see each time you break them, it will reduce the stack by 1, but they will re-battery themselves instantaneously as well, which can be quite dangerous. So the goal here is to actually reduce all 3 stacks by breaking them 3 times in a row before they get their next turn. And the conventional way would be extremely difficult because they come with an innate brave resistance as well. Hence that's why having Freeze Joker would make this significantly easier. Because I stack attack up auras from both Celes and Wakka, and I enchant Squall with Ice Elemental as well, his attacks still do for significant damage even though the bosses resist brave attacks at 3 stacks. So as long as you prepare enough countermeasures for their overhead buff and prevent themselves from battering themselves, or have some form of instant break in your party, you should be able to finish off the fight without too much else of an issue. One other good option other than Freeze Joker is to use Trey if you haven't used him. You can just inflict his EX debuff when the bosses get their spine overhead buff, and this will allow you to instant break them with any character attacks, making it extremely easy to bypass the spine mechanics. In terms of call abilities, there's not many options here because many call abilities will inflict debuffs on their own, and you really want to keep the debuffs at a maximum of 3. So some good examples here is to use like a Squall debuff if you haven't used him. You can use a Cloud debuff mainly for the delay and damage, although his finishing touch will not launch the bosses. Or you can use healing debuffs if you need some sort of backup heal as well. Okay, that's it. As always, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, do leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you in the next fight. Bye bye.